powered by Riverside FM.
When you look at the Minnesota Vikings franchise, especially when it comes to quarterback, although it hasn't really equated into a Super Bowl, but we've had some pretty good quarterback play. I think you would agree. What is the reason for that? A lot of it goes to guys like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And then you have the narrative of the quarterback whisperer. Everybody's talking about JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson. But is there a guy behind the scenes that just makes all of this stuff work besides the names that we hear about all the time? The one guy that just kind of stands out to me, because everybody says he's highly touted and he just does a great job, and he's one of the fastest growing assistant coaches in the league, is Josh McCown. Josh McCown basically took a guy and he worked closely with this guy in Sam Darnold and turned him into an NFL quarterback last year. I mean, before that, show me some tape where you could honestly say that Sam Darnold was an NFL quarterback, man. Josh McCown, when he puts his hands on you, it seems to me things start to change. Now, Josh McCown in the NFL, when he played, he was a pretty decent quarterback. I remember him being with the Cleveland Browns amongst several other teams, and he was always pretty decent, but he definitely was not the type of quarterback that you would etch into the top 10. You would not use the word elite when it comes to Josh McCown. But everybody talked about this guy really having a brain, and he was destined to be a head coach. He started off cutting his teeth with the Carolina Panthers, and thus now he has transitioned into a role with the Minnesota Vikings as their quarterback coach. Now, I know there was a lot of speculation that he might get an offensive coordinator's job somewhere. That didn't happen. And then there was also speculation that Kevin O'Connell may give up his play calling duties for Josh McCown to take over. Now, I really don't see that, because when you look at a guy like KOC, he did not call the plays in Los Angeles when he was the assistant coach under McVay. So I think that he has a hunger to do that. I don't see him giving up those duties anytime soon. But it seems to me that Josh McCown probably deserves a little bit more credit than what he's getting in terms of the success of Sam Darnold. I think everything kind of flows to KOC, who has been deemed the quarterback whisperer. My challenge to you, UP Nation, is just to think about sometimes, these narratives are created and they start to roll downhill like a snowball during an avalanche. It's hard, it's fast, it accumulates, and then it just sticks. And this is in no way trying to dampen the success of KOC. You guys know I'm a KOC guy. But I'm saying, what if it isn't all KOC? I mean, when you look at all of KOC's successes, you can also look at some times where he wasn't as successful. Josh Dobbs, you can argue that the more he learned the playbook under the Vikings system, the worse he got. When he first came in, he didn't know the playbook at all, and he played lights out. I mean, the game where KOC had to basically hold his hand during that game, call plays and say, hey, Josh, this is what you're going to see. I mean, that was just an incredible game. The amount of plays and the collaboration in which they were able to work together. But then after that game, everything just kind of started to go downhill. You guys remember that. I mean, we were looking at Josh Dobbs for that moment, that small window. We were looking at him as a possible franchise guy to replace Kirk Cousins just for a minute. Just for a minute. I was guilty of it. I know a lot of you out there was guilty of it. But now they bring in Josh McCown, and he's our quarterback's coach. And instantly Sam Darnold has a large body of work. Absolutely, he played like garbage the last two games. I get it, but his body of work was pretty damn good for Sam Darnold. No one would have ever expected that. And who is Sam Darnold being closer to in practices every day than Josh McCown? See, to me, it's such an under-the-radar thing. Nobody's really talking about that relationship. Nobody's really thinking about if Josh McCown, who is going to spend the most time with the quarterbacks in the film room, on the field, giving them tidbits, the sidelines. I think that JJ McCarthy is 3 times the quarterback that Sam Darnold is. In terms of potential, will that show up next year? That remains to be seen. But if a guy like Josh McCown gets in tuned with a talent and the intelligence of a guy like JJ McCarthy, what is that going to look like? I mean, he has specific schemes that he runs his quarterbacks through, and a lot of them are innovative. When you look at Sam Darnold, there were issues that Sam Darnold was a great long ball thrower, but in that intermediate range, the throws across the middle, the drag routes, some of the screens, I think it really hampered what the Minnesota Vikings could do on offense, because Sam Darnold, not that he couldn't do it every now and then, but he didn't have the skill set to be consistent. And I think that's the biggest difference between him and a guy like JJ McCarthy. Enters JJ McCarthy with Josh McCown. JJ McCarthy has a total package game. The Minnesota Vikings offensive system relies on being able to run the ball so they can set up the play action pass. Drag routes across the middle, hitch routes, incorporating a screen game. We heard it last year from KOC talking about how important the running game is, how important the screen game is. We saw flashes from Sam Darnold, but we couldn't quite get there. Josh McCown, when he was a player, came from systems that had a little bit of all that, where now he knows how to teach it, and he can relay that to one JJ McCarthy. Man, it's a scary thought. You know, I'm to the point where I think Josh McCown may be the Minnesota Vikings' secret weapon. It's easy to get lost in the B-flow defense. Blitz happy, coming after you, hungry. I mean, that 7-man front next year is going to be absolutely nasty. It's easy to look at KOC, the quarterback whisperer, what he does with the offense, his play calling. It's easy to get lost with a revamp trench upgrade on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. But the secret weapon in all of this, man, may be a guy that's not getting a lot of credit in Josh McCown. I mean, his successes with being able to work with quarterbacks is unparalleled right now. At one time, he was going to be the head coach of the Houston Texans. And Houston took a lot of heat from that. He was coming from high school, coach from high school, hadn't really paid his dues, I guess, so to speak, according to some people. And so the Houston Texans didn't go that way. But Josh McCown could be our secret weapon for the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff. I think he's unsung, and he's flying under the radar and what he can do with quarterbacks. And I am excited more than anything that he gets a chance to work with a guy like JJ McCarthy and help mold and tool him and help him develop into the quarterback that we all think JJ McCarthy could be. The key is going to be a guy like Josh McCown tapping in to that talent and giving this young man the know-how and giving him a little part of his brain that will help JJ McCarthy out during the 2025 season. I just had to speak on it because I think it's an angle that nobody is really looking at. A guy whose name is really never mentioned when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff every now and then. But everything offensively usually goes to the credit of KOC, just like everything on the defensive side usually goes to the credit of B-Flow. Josh McCown, man, just may be the gasoline that's going to the engine for the Minnesota Vikings. Just something to think about, UP Nation. Josh McCown, man, great coach. I think we are very fortunate to have him on staff. This is Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Please consider becoming a member. Who do you think is the best coach on the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff outside of B-Flow and KOC? We've got some good assistants, man. Former head coaches Mike Pettin, McCardell. I mean, just a lot of guys on that sideline. We have a strong coaching staff. I would be interested in your thoughts on guys that you think really, as an assistant coach, make an impact for the Minnesota Vikings team. As always, UP Nation, we will see you when we see you. Skol!